Right here in my living room, we are changing this whole wall up to this.
Well, that was pretty stupid.
Perfect.
I just love creating slats. Super cheap, super easy, and we wrap these around actual tiles. This is all tiled with proper edging. We're getting ready to do another crazy project. So whenever you do an interior reno, I like to Photoshop, and then there are AI tools right now to mock in what you want. And then this is kind of what we came up with. The piece of tape that you see here, this is the outline for our niche that we're gonna put in. We're still not sure how deep we're gonna go because behind this wall is the outside of the house. So we obviously wanna make sure we maintain some insulation. We got these tiles. This was 67 Canadian dollars for 2 tiles. This is 2x4. We got 4 boxes, and then we are building out slats here. We got to get rid of all this. But anyways, we're going to start from that section on, work our way towards the niche. And then once we get there, that's when we're going to start cutting out our niche. I hope you learned something, and I hope you stop paying contractors literally tens of thousands of dollars to do stuff like this. You just got to figure out what's the best use of this tile and whether we want to go this way or we want to go this way. And I flipped it around, and look at that. It's actually perfect placement for what I want, and then the niche is going to go right on top of it. So I guess we're going to go with that. We dry fitted and started kind of figuring out where we want the slats, and we created like a border around where we want it. So we have taped exactly where we're going to be cutting out the piece of drywall that's going to create basically our niche inside the wall, and we're going to go and glue the first tile. Now usually we would be using like an Acryl Pro and spread the entire paste of the wall glue across the whole wall. However, because we know what we're doing, we don't want to create a giant mess, we're going to be using this. This is 8XPL LePage. I use this quite often when I'm doing these little small projects, about 4 times more expensive if you're to use this to tile, but it is fast and it holds like cement in about 48 hours. And we want to make some space for the spacers, for tile spacers as well. So we're just going to do little beads. All right, so here's some tips for you. Now, every wall, the studs inside should be 16 inches in between. So for example, I found a stud right here. So from here to here, 16 inches. From here to here, 16 inches. If you're trying to hold something and you don't have a second pair of hands, you know, create a brace. So we temporarily screwed in a piece of wood into the studs, and now we're going to be able to glue the next tile. And then once it dries tomorrow, we're going to remove this, and then we're going to have a perfect line that we can use to cut our niche. Let's try this one. Yeah, this. Now we're gonna get our clips. So I manually put these in place, but there is a tool for this, and it looks like this. So this essentially, if you have uneven surfaces, pushes both tiles together. This is why it's important to have one clip on each end. If you have a big tile like this, you also put one in the center. If you're not going to have anything on this side, you don't put anything there. And then if you were to want to get it tightened, because let's just say this wasn't straight, what you would do is you would just use this tool, and this would push and force it to meet with this one. Now it's obviously a little harder to do it on the wall than it is to do it on the floor because you're fighting gravity. So this is why I have this. This is like a little hack. So I have a screw with a washer, and then this will keep the tile attached to the wall, so it's not going to bow out and then pull itself off when I'm applying pressure on these clips. When this is dry, usually on the floor you just kick it with your boot, but on here you just take a mallet and then you go, and then that basically removes that piece of plastic and it shoots that black piece, which is reusable. See that? That's how easy it is. And then you have perfectly flush tiles. Now, how do you cut tiles like this? Well, one way is a manual method with a hand grinder. The second way, of course, is to have a tile cutter. And the third way is to use a wet saw. It's freezing outside. I mean, it's winter, so we're not going to use a wet saw. And I just want to do this quick. So what I did here is I applied painter's tape right here on the line. The painter's tape is here so when you're pressing down a grinder, it doesn't have the hesitancy to come out. I put this wood in here so I would have a guide. And I secured this wood with these clamps here, right? So this is going to essentially, I just want to make sure that when this separates, it doesn't just drop this way and this way all of a sudden. I'm basically going to be standing here. I'm going to be supporting this with my knee, and then I'm going to be going up and down, cutting this to make sure that if it does drop, it's not going to fall and not have to worry about it. Now I can just lift this and then trim the excess. So you can take this out here. There. This is essentially 24-inch vinyl. It's matte, so it doesn't reflect, because we don't want to have reflection when we're putting on the slats. We're not too concerned about running the wires at this point. Because we are going to have the channels. I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to hide them. There's an adhesive backing. Now I'm just peeling this part. See, it comes off quite easily. Grab your squeegee, and then we just work from the center out. Try and get rid of all the bubbles, basically. You can use a heat gun if you're having trouble with some bubbles. If you have thick bubbles, you can just take a needle, pierce it, and then work it out. It's just an air bubble. We'll use a heat gun. So this is going to be the first slat before this niche. So the niche is going to essentially come to here. There's going to be a 1/2-inch gap between the end of the niche, and it's going to wrap around in here. And then there'll be slats coming in from underneath here up and there down. This is a 2x1-inch pine. It's like $5 a piece for a 10-footer. And then we're going to go and stain this with Breathtaking, but we're going to go and put some glue on the back first, and then we're going to shoot this in with brad nails. Glue, and now we're going to paste it where we marked the spot in between these. Okay, now let's shoot this with a brad nailer. Now that we're going in here, we're going to have our lighting. This is what the lighting channel looks like. So there, it's like a U, and it goes inside here, and then there's 2 lips on either side, and they rest on this, and then this little white piece of plastic kind of snaps in, and the LED light is in behind, and it's about a 1/2 inch. So we need to make sure that we are dead on, so when we place our channel in, we can just kind of squeeze it in to take it out as well. So we use the multi-tool to cut this. A titanium with metal blade. Oh, we're gonna. And remember, these are 1/2 inch, and I specifically made these just a little smidget less than 1/2 inch, so I can make sure that they stay in, and I can always take them out. So even without having the light, it just adds that nice level of, I don't know, elegance, I guess you could call it. And it's nice because it's got that black bevel that goes great with the ones on this side. So because we have the tiles, we can use this as a guide, and all we're really doing is we are basically using a multi-tool. This is a DeWalt XR 20 volts. Definitely something you want to have if you're doing any projects. This comes in quite handy to cut metal, screws, drywall, wood, pipe. All right, so I've pre-cut all the way up to there. So now we got to take this whole piece of drywall out and see what's behind. So now that we know we don't really have much to work with because of the insulation, we're going to cut those 2x4s. We're going to reinforce it at the very top. We're going to replace the backing with thinner foam insulation instead of using the drywall. There we go. Perfect. Look how nice this flows. Now that those tiles are up, we're going to remove that bottom piece, because I need to figure out all the electrical, reroute it. We need to remove this insulation, but we don't want to throw it out. So we're just going to cut it. By the way, this is, you don't want to inhale this. So make sure you wear some sort of a protective respirator. All right, so problem is, see, we got electrical here. So we need to bring this down somehow. Now let's bring this up. All right, now this black thing is a very thick barrier. Behind that is the actual brick of the back of this house. So this is the same stuff as this, except it's in a dense form. And this is actually better because while this is great, it's fluffy. You're not supposed to squish it together. If you squish it together, it's not going to maintain the same insulation R value as if you were to get this. So this is R3. This, I believe, is R12. So now to get R12 from this, you're going to have to take 4 of these. So this is a 1/2 inch, which means we would have 2 inches of thickness to get the same level of insulation as we have here at 4 inches. I hope you're following. Anyway, so let's go and remove all this. And then we're going to go remove one of these studs. And I'm going to show you how I braced it. So when you're trying to cut things like this out, what you want to do is you want to get yourself a bit. So these are the wood ones. You don't want this one. This one is going to go through wood way faster. So what I'm doing is I'm basically cutting and drilling through to take these cables out. See? So this way I'm limiting the mess, this area here, and then I vacuum it up. So that's an easy way of cutting these studs out without making a giant mess. Alright, so now we're going to take a 2x4. We're going to cut it and reinforce the top sections here. So we're going to bang it up, screw it in, and then so this is going to reinforce this whole thing before we put in our actual niche. Okay, so now we're going to go and move this cable, finally, behind somehow. And then we're going to have to put a piece from here to here. And then we're going to reinforce it from here up to here. So now we're using Sika Pro, which is basically a gap filler, to just get it all sealed off from the outside. So we already tucked the cables in behind, right? Nothing's visible. We're going to go and cut this piece out of insulation. So this is R3. Use a regular knife. That's it. It kind of snaps like drywall too. Mainly in the corners. There we go. Nice. So here's what it looks like. The shelf has to be sticking out this much out of the wall. That's quite a bit in order to hold this. So here's what it would look like if I brought this in. So I lined this thing with now. So there's like a hidden thing for cables or whatnot. I flipped the tiger around. So now that could be independent, or you see it's already on borderline on the edge here. So if I flip it this way, it buys me a lot more space, right? Because the tail and the paw is closer on this side. So I can almost go all the way down here on this side, and I can keep him basically even in the center if I wanted. And then I have all that section still for something. So yeah, so I think yeah, I'm gonna do it the way you suggested. But the second question is now, do I cut this less and then more at the bottom? Right, so that way even from here you get to see it, and there'll be an LED light at the top as well, shining. So here it is. I think it should stick out a little more. I don't know, honestly. I'm in the process of trying to remove these glass shelves so I can maybe reuse them somewhere. But the problem is that I put them in the wall and in this tile. So I can either remove this tile. Oh gosh, I hate doing stuff like this. This is stuff I almost never do. So we have to see if we can break this tile. Ah. Look at that. That didn't even do anything. Huh. That's gonna be harder than I thought. Okay, that was bad. Oh shit, that landed on my foot. Yep, cut's coming. Oh, that was pretty stupid. Definitely didn't think that was gonna happen. Ta-da. So there's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say. Let's look at my little wound here. Oh yeah. This is the biggest shelf too, so it's probably going to have the most amount of glass coming. Yep. I think that should be good. So this one I forgot to cut out, but it came out. So it turns out that I have to remove this piece because that glass is not going to come out. So I'm going to remove from here to exactly where that is, and I'm going to replace it with 2 tiles. Slowly but surely. Well, that was really deep in there. Yeah, there's no way I would have gotten this without this and this. Oh, that piece of glue. Anyway, so here we are after we've ripped out the shelves and we've cut out most of the niche. I'm so hesitant about cutting that last part there. There's a double 2x4 there. I'm assuming or hoping there's one there, although I'm not sure. This is definitely a load bearing wall, so I've insulated it and I've already trimmed. So this is all ready for the niche. I'm only deciding whether or not to do 2. One here and then one there, and just put a veneer there, just to be sure. Otherwise, I would have obviously preferred to do it completely cut in, but we found these really nice PVC edgings that it just gives us that super nice clean finish. Over here, we ended up doing it in such a way that we have like a hidden little storage there. So we got this extension cord with 4 USB ports. So we're gonna go and do a groove right here in this drywall. Follow the cable on the floor underneath the tiles, and then we squeezed the cable between the 2 tiles. And because it's a flat, thin cable, it goes in quite nicely. That's how to create a very easy extension behind the wall. And then here, this is really just gonna be a decor piece for our big, nice little statue here of this tiger. So we are gonna create like a mantle piece coming out 4 inches from the wall. We're gonna be using a PVC, so I've cut out an outline here. We're gonna be cutting out this outline here, just enough for this tiger to sit on. We're gonna cut a tile exactly the same width, and then we're gonna finish the edging with this aluminum U channel. But for now, this should just slide in. There we go. And this, I've also put in some screws. How straight we are. Can remove it. We still need to connect the LED lights. We've plugged in our cob light adapter, and now we're hiding the cable because we're gonna be putting this tile on, and I wanted to tuck this cable in. Now we can take that piece and slide this into here. So we're gonna be able to just press the switch if you want, on or off. So we've tucked in this light, and now we're gonna go and put this on. So this is a little tricky because it's a very, very tight fit. So there you go. So you see how I tucked that in? And then there'll be a tile that goes at the very top. Big stuff is done. New big stuff is happening. So on this wall, I changed the design. Instead of creating it out of wood, which is I initially wanted to, I realized it's just gonna be too much wood and it's kind of like taken away from the whole modern part. So instead, we're gonna continue this whole wall right there. We're gonna build it out of tile, but we're gonna create a niche inside. This is the very first niche that I actually built inside the wall. This tile is plastered directly on the drywall on the inside of the bathroom. And then I added a tile on this side to make sure that there's a lot of strength here. This one also is actually on the outside of the brick. You can see that, right? So this one, no draft whatsoever. I did this correctly. So these two niches are actually the first ones that I've done. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and create something similar to this. First thing is we're gonna remove this drywall. We're gonna go and cut this piece out of insulation. So this is R3. But for now, let's just remove this. So we decided to basically tile around and on the inside, all the way around that receptacle. So when you're cutting a receptacle, you want to go on an X, and then you go a little here, little here, little here, little here, then you knock this out, and then you finesse it from the back. As you put that through. Okay, and look at that, perfect. When you're tiling, there are these spacers. So this is what you're putting on each side of the tile. And this is going to make sure that all of them are all leveled. And I do one at a time here. When you put the second tile on top, so then you put this through, and then you push it. And so if you have a pretty unleveled surface, when you're cutting bigger, you'll even it out. There we go. All right, now we're getting in the niche tile. There we go. All right, so we've put a 2x4 and I stuck the insulation on here and I stuck it at the very top now. So this whole thing is super insulated. Now, in case you guys didn't know, tiles actually offer quite a pretty good R value for insulation. It's about an R6 because it's so dense and so thick, it's never going to let any air in through. We also pre-cut the sides that are going to go on here, so that's what we're going to do right now. You just got to make sure this is super flush so this isn't pushing out, and we're going to do this on both sides. So sorry, it's 48 inches, so it's actually pretty perfect for this. It's so odd when you place things on walls or ceilings, like these are ceiling tiles, and it just makes things look bigger, more spacious. It's the same thing with this, and the lights definitely make it look larger as well. But we got this white Carrara piece of marble with a bevel, and we're going to glue it right here. All right, so now we're gonna place this on. Okay, so it's in. Now I just gotta prop this up for a little bit and it will stay. All right, so now we're going to show you how I'm going to create this setup here. We have a remote for this, but I can change this to any color that I want. It can do music modes, and look how bright this actually gets. So this is a Cobb COEB LED light. The difference between this and standard LED light, see how those spaced apart LEDs? Well, this Cobb LED light, it's a continuous LED. Oh, they are extremely bright. And if you look, I think this one's got 672 LED lights for every 1 meter, I believe. There's no LED being shown, just a long continuous stream. These are channels and they just snap in to here, but this is a 1/2 inch channel, right? So it's like a hole. So we're going to take those lights and then we can put the adhesive right in there, and then we put this over top. There we go. So the LED behind the channels are connected through a wire that's going to be fed underneath here and here. And this is the controller for the LED lights. And then this one we're going to go and tuck in at the very top and glue it so you can't see it. And it's connected right here to the power. So we're going to keep going, and then we're going to go around the top. We're going to cut a sliver of that black wallpaper, dig a hole behind, and fish that through underneath there. That's where the second channel is going to start. So that's where we're going to continue our LED light. We're going to go down to the bottom. And here we're going to fish it and come right back up to the third one. All right, so we removed the channel. So we use the multi-tool to cut this. we removed the adhesive from the back of the light, and now we're placing it inside. Once the lights are in, we're gonna put our plastic over top and just snap it into place. Now we flip the channel on the other side, and we're gonna put just a few dabs of glue. Let's place this back. All right, so I've adhered that piece. Now I pulled back this slat and I pulled back the wallpaper so I can do a sliver cut. We're gonna bead that cable in behind at the very top and in behind. So now we can go and just put some glue on here. Now we're gonna put the wallpaper back on as if nothing ever happened. And then we're gonna put the slat also back on, see? Now. Right, and then this can still come out. All right, well, we got to get to that one now. So we got to wrap it around here, underneath, and then come back up over here and go in there. And then peel that little piece of sticker up, do a hole. Now we're pressing this in. Now we're going to put some glue, put this back in place, go here, and then we're going to come back right up. All right then, so most of it is all done besides the grouting. The lights are in, the shelves are in, we have the tiger in. We're just waiting for one more LED light that we're gonna mount at the very top, and we're gonna put this beautiful edging all the way around here, there, and here. But I wanted to show you guys basically the end result. All right, if you guys remember, this is what it looked like before in this room. And now this is the after. Now I also got two remote controls. The first one is because I also did a hidden wire for this diffuser here. So that's running all behind this tile here, and it's linked up to this, and this is also controlled by the remote, and it's got different colors that I can set, which is kind of neat. For the lights, we turn this on, and there you go. Now these lights are also app controlled, Google Home controlled, Alexa controlled, and of course they have different colors, right? Now let me show you what this looks like when it's dark. This is the dimmest level. Let's go up. This is the brightest. So it actually lights up the room quite a lot. You actually can't at night even have this at full blast because it's just too light. I keep it pretty much here, which is like the second from the bottom. And I always pretty much set it on white. And the great thing is with these LED lights, you also see them during the day. So pretty neat little setup. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. These came out quite awesome. This wall also came out awesome. So if you want to see how to create this little built-in entertainment tiled unit, I also have a video for that. So again, if you're looking for awesome videos, keep subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.